السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. We continue inshallah ta'ala with the book of Fadl al-Islam, and we are still in the chapter of Bab al-Dukhul fil Islam, to be admitted to the deen of al-Islam. We stopped in the chapter where he mentioned the text after mentioning the hadith of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام: أبغض الناس إلى الله ثلاثة, the most hated to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala among the people are three: ملحد في الحرم، ومبتغ في الإسلام سنة الجاهلية، ومطلب دم امرئ بغير حق ليهريق دمه. رواه البخاري. One is ملحد في الحرم, and we talked about that, someone that is intended to do evil in the haram, in Mecca and Medina. ومبتغ في الإسلام سنة الجاهلية, and seeking in the deen of Islam the way of the Jahiliyyah, which is other than the deen of Islam. And the third one is someone that is seeking the bloodshed of someone without the right to do so, so that he would shed his blood. These are the three most hated to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the evildoers in this life. And we talked about mulhidun fil haram, and I think ومبتغ في الإسلام سنة الجاهلية. And what we need to be upon is to hold fast to the deen of Islam. And this is what is meant by this hadith in this chapter. And he'll talk about this afterwards, and the meaning of that. He says, قال ابن تيمية رحمه الله: قوله سنة الجاهلية, to seek in al-Islam sunnat al-Jahiliyyah. The word sunnah, as we know, means the way. So when we say the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, or to follow the sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, it means to follow the way of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So when the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said here, وَمُبْتَغٍ فِي الْإِسْلام, al-ibtigha, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned it in the Quran, ibtigha wajhi Allah, to see the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to seek the pleasure of Allah. The believers, they seek the pleasure of Allah. So when someone seek in al-Islam, one of the ways of the Jahiliyyah, and the significance of saying seeking in al-Islam, because al-Islam is a perfect deen, a perfect way of life. There is no need for anyone to introduce anything to the deen of al-Islam from the ways of the Jahiliyyah, from the ways of the disbelievers. And therefore, if someone seeks in al-Islam a way of the Jahiliyyah, that means he is among the most hated to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because it's not a sin that is personal to him. It's a sin, basically the intention of it, whether he has it or not, but to change the religion, which is nothing worse and nothing more evil than this. To make the deen of Islam like the other false religions. When someone would introduce to the people the ways of Jahiliyyah. And this can be in many different ways, whether it's in the subject of bid'ah, innovations in the deen, inventing a matter of belief for the people that is similar to the ways of the Jahiliyyah, like those, for example, would have ghulu or extremism in the belief in the Prophet ﷺ, to give him divinity, like the Christians did to Isa alayhi salam, and they would invoke him besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or they go to the saints and to the righteous ones in their graves and they invoke them besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is sunnatul jahiliyyah, idol worshipping in the deen of al-Islam, or worshipping graves or the like of this. And even a'yad, celebrations of the ways of the Jahiliyyah, that in the deen of al-Islam we have Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. Anyone introduce any other celebrations, they are inventing things in the deen of al-Islam that the Prophet ﷺ was not upon. And go on, so on, whether it's in matters of belief, whether it's in matters of ibadah, the way to make ibadah to Allah, the way to make dhikr. You would find, for example, some people might light a candle as Muslims in the vision of this or that. This is ways of Jahiliyyah. This is not the way of al-Islam. inventing things for the ibadah, or joining others in their false worship, thinking that this is part of being good neighbors or good citizens with others. This can be done without compromising the deen, without making any form of rituals or false beliefs. Worldly matters, people can be extremely nice, and this is part of our deen, to be kind to others, to help them physically with things that they need, for them to be safe, to help with regards to their safety. They feel secure when they're around the Muslims and so on. But when it comes to compromising the deen and things of that nature, this is something that a Muslim, has to be firm upon. So matters of belief, matters of ibadah, anything and that's why it's important to ask the people of knowledge. And if the person doesn't have the knowledge, it can be easily, slipped into the ways of the Jahiliyyah without knowing, because the deen of Islam is based on ilm, based on knowledge, and not just based on what it feels or what it looks and so on. So when he said Sunnat al-Jahiliyyah, he says comes under this category every Jahiliyyah, mutlaqa or muqayyada. Any Jahiliyyah, and Jahiliyyah comes from jahl, ignorance, which is anything other than the deen of Islam. Whether it's mutlaqa, absolute, or conditioned or specific, whether it's in a person other than another person, kitabiyya or wathaniyya, whether it's from the people of the book or from the idol worshippers other than them, or غيرهم, or any other thing. من كل مخالفة لما جاء به المرسلون. From every mukhalafa, from every mukhalafa, or anything that is against the way of the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. So this is how the deen of Islam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to be upon. And then after that, and of course the rest of the hadith, which is of course shedding blood, which is one of the most evil actions, and one of the most or the first actions that will be dealt with in the Day of Judgment is al-qisas, is this blood. That anybody that shed blood, anybody that helped with even half a word to shed the blood of others, this is one of the first things to be judged in the Day of Judgment. We can go on, and this is definitely a very important subject, the issue of مبتغٍ في الإسلام سنة الجاهلية, to seek in Islam سنة الجاهلية, and it's important to be firm upon this, to be strong upon the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.